So some years ago, when I had really bad symptoms of my health issue, I was in so much suffering pain. I had rheumatoid arthritis all over my body. I had eczemas in different places in my body that would never disappear. I mean, I was in a lot of pain and suffering, and I thought I would never regain my health. And I fell into deep depression, fell into deep anxiety, fear, no hope for the future. And I really thought at the time that I would never regain my health, that I would die very soon, or that I would live with this chronic health issue with a lot of suffering and pain for the short duration of my life. And so at the time, one day, I listened to my favorite law of attraction teacher, Abraham Hicks, who said something so wise. She said, "Humans, we love you so much, but you are poor observers. You are poor observers of what is happening in your life." And so I continued to listen to what she meant by that. What does she mean that we are poor observers of our lives? And what she was saying is that as we continue to observe our current situation, and at that time, my current situation was that I had a lot of bodily suffering and pain in my body. I kept observing that suffering and pain. I kept observing the arthritis pains. I kept observing the rash and eczema throughout my body. I kept observing the pain. And as I kept observing the pain over and over again, and it's very difficult to not observe that pain when you're feeling it in your body, right? It's very difficult. So it's not hard to believe that somebody's going to keep observing that over and over again, right? If you have pain in your body, you're going to continue to observe it and continue to observe it, right? Because you're feeling that pain. That pain is legitimate. And so what she was saying is as you keep observing the same thing, pain in the body, pain in the body, pain in the body, you're going to create or continue that pain in the body. You're going to continue the physical manifestation of pain in your body, because all physical manifestations happen based on consciousness, based on this energetic consciousness that creates the material world. So this non-physical energy of consciousness, which has infinite information, is what creates the physical body. It's really consciousness that creates our physical form, the physical universe. It's consciousness. So as our consciousness, which is our thoughts, our mind is a consciousness, keeps observing the pain in my body, I'm going to continue with the pain. The body can't do anything else. I'm not giving the body, my energy field, new information. So as I keep giving the information, I have pain, the pain in my body will continue to manifest. So it's like this vicious cycle. So this is what Abraham is talking about. This is why she says humans are such poor observers, because as we keep observing our current situation and we do not desire the current situation, we perpetuate that current situation, and thus humans are poor observers. So I really want to elaborate on this wisdom that humans are poor observers, because this is so important in being able to change our lives in a positive direction. So in this chart, we are observing what is currently in our life, what is currently in our experience. So this is you, this is me. We're currently observing that we have $100 in the bank. $100 in the bank is what is manifested in our lives. That's all we have in the bank. And we call that evidence. What is manifested in our life is what we call evidence. That I can only show on my bank statement that I have $100 in the bank. That's what we call evidence. So as we keep observing this $100 in the bank, what's happening is in our conscious mind, in our consciousness, we keep thinking, I am poor and will always remain poor because of what we're observing. We're observing this $100 in the bank. So this is the conclusion that we keep making, right? It's valid to say this, I am poor, if you have $100 in the bank, right? So as we keep thinking this, because we observe what we say is evidence, then what happens is we get the same result. Because the universe is trying to show us to abundance, but we can't receive it because this is all we observe. So it becomes this vicious cycle. We just get the same result of $100 in the bank. Because as we keep observing, we keep having the same thoughts. And as we keep having the same thoughts, and all experiences are based on manifestations of our consciousness, then we get the same results. So we're just looping in this vicious cycle. So how do we break out of this vicious cycle? How do we break out of this vicious cycle? Well, we break out of this vicious cycle by having different thoughts. So in the same situation as scenario number 2 is we visualize the future. That's how we break out of the vicious cycle. We visualize the future. The same person has the same amount of money in the bank, $100, and we call it evidence. But instead of thinking I'm poor and not abundant, this person now chooses to think a different way. I know that my future holds much abundance and prosperity, even though she has only $100 in the bank. A totally different way of thinking and believing, visualizing the future of prosperity and abundance. Very different from lady number 1, right? The previous chart. So as she is thinking something different, that she has abundance in her future and she's hopeful and she knows and she feels that she will have prosperity in the future, she's receiving the abundance that the universe is giving her to manifest abundance. And therefore, she's getting different results. She's not getting the same results up here. She's getting a result in the future of maybe manifesting $1 million in the bank. It's a different result. It's a different manifestation. So this is why Abraham is saying that as we keep observing what is in our current situation, what is really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is what's in our minds of what the future that we want to hold, that we desire in the future. That's the only thing that matters. And it's to keep holding that in our minds of the future. So any successful person that you've met, whether they're multimillionaires or billionaires, you hear a lot of their stories. They had nothing. They had nothing. The only thing that they had was this. They had their mind. They had the vision of the future. That's what they had. A lot of them came from utterly poor families with nothing. But they had a vision of the future, and they knew in their heart and soul that their future was going to be different from their current situation. It was like Oprah. Oprah had an amazing story. I love Oprah's story. She says when she was a little girl, she was raised by her grandmother, and her grandmother, who was a maid, told her, now, Oprah, you're going to have to find yourself a nice family. And what does that mean? You're going to have to find yourself a nice family, because her grandmother had projected to Oprah that she was also going to become a maid. And Oprah, she was so independent thinking, independent minded, said to herself, she didn't say it to her grandmother, she thought to herself, no, grandmother, that's not going to be me. My future is going to be different. And this is the reason why Oprah is where she is. And she is influencing millions of people around the world, because she never believed as a little girl. And most of us as a little girl, if our grandparent or our parents told us that, we would believe it, then we would become the maid. She would have been a maid if she had agreed with her grandmother. But she was so independent minded at such a young age. She said, no, that's not going to be me. My future is going to be different. My future is going to have promise. And that's the difference. So this is why Abraham Hicks says we are poor observers. Because as we keep observing what is currently manifested in our situation, and we call it evidence, and evidence is only evidence because we thought of something and then it manifested, and then we call that evidence. Our thoughts created our reality, and then we call that reality evidence. So evidence, I say in quotation. So every time you observe evidence that you do not desire, then you perpetuate that evidence in your life. So the key here is to stop being such poor observers of our lives, even if we have $1 in the bank, to have the hope, to have the visualization of a much better and brighter future. Because what is can change, because we're living in an infinite possibility universe, infinite possibility in our lives. That's what we're living in, infinite possibility universe. This non-physical energy that creates the physical experiences in lives, and this non-physical energy can change in any direction. So this is why we have to stop being poor observers and be good observers and only observe what we desire for our future. So when I was going through my own health issues, it was very difficult for me to stop obsessing about my pain and suffering, right? Because when you're feeling in your body, it's hard to stop observing what is, especially when you have bodily pain. So how do you move from observing what is to observing what can be in the future? How do you make that transition? I mean, this is the most difficult thing for me and for anybody that's trying to make a change, because if you're observing only $1 in the bank, I get it. It's really, really difficult to visualize a future with $1 million in the bank, right? How do you do that? How do you go from saying what is doesn't matter, even though you're experiencing right now, to what can be in the future? And so in my own personal experience, and I really want to share with this, what really helped me in my life and in my health issue was really my spirituality. I'm telling you, by far, it was the single most thing that helped me get through the darkest days of my life, really. Because when you're spiritual, what you're doing is you're opening your heart, you're opening your mind, and especially your heart, to the infinite wisdom of God in the universe. You're connecting with it. You're connecting. You're building a bridge. You're accessing all of the infinite wisdom and intelligence that God in the universe has for us, that is within us and around us. And so as I start to connect more and more with the infinite wisdom, with my spirituality, with the infinite wisdom and love of God in the universe, as I start to connect more and more and surrendered and released to that infinite wisdom and love, I start to have a little bit more hope and less fear. A little bit more hope and less fear. And that's what got me through day to day to day. I didn't make a quantum leap because my recovery was a long journey. And anything that will last is not something that will happen overnight. Anything that will last, you need patience and time. Patience and time. Because the universe knows the perfect timing for you. I don't know the perfect timing for me for my health issue. God in the universe did. So as I kept becoming more closer to God in the universe, I had a little bit more hope. I had less fear. And my thinking and my observing of my health condition started to shift more and more each day. And that turned into something really big later. Because every day you're piling up a different energy. You're moving in a different direction, in a different direction, in a different direction, in a different direction. So one thing that I could say that really helped me to stop observing my current situation, stop becoming a poor observer and becoming a better observer, was really my spirituality. So I really wanted to do this show because I think it is so important that we stop continuing to observe what we do not desire in our current manifestation in our life. So if we have $1 in the bank, We have to stop observing that and start observing our future. Start putting in the thoughts, the picture of the future that we desire. And this is such an important topic for us to make any positive change in our life, whether it's our health, whether it's money, whether it's relationships, whether it's career. If we want our lives to move in a different direction, we have to stop observing what is in our life and calling it evidence. And we have to start observing what we desire in the future. So if you have a story, experience that you want to share about this topic, please do so, because your comments, feedback really help me and my community at large. And if you like this video, please make sure to share it and subscribe to my channel. And if you want to visit all of my spiritual and holistic living tips, just go to my website at yinandyangliving.com. Thank you. Namaste.